big part of that is making sure that the money goes to agencies that will use it in such a manner that you, contributors, will say, yeah, they did right. Well, that involves having a group of folks who look at the background and sort of decide who should be getting these dollars. Have they shown us what they're supposed to do? That's called the citizen review process. And joining us to talk a little bit more about that, because I want you to understand, how do they decide? I'm sure there's somebody going, well, the agency I like didn't get any money. Well, there's a reason. They need to be able to meet certain criteria. Robin Blackwell is with SCORE Global Life Americas, but she is also on that citizens review process. So thanks for joining us, Robin.
My pleasure, B.
Tell me a little bit about what is involved in a citizens review process, because agencies come back each year, request dollars. You get new requests as well. But what do you look at when you're considering who should be approved?
Well, the Community Investment Council is a group of volunteers whose primary objective is to be an excellent steward of the dollars that are donated by those that support the United Way. So what we are charged with is getting to know the agencies, making sure we have a clear understanding of what their goals are and whether or not their goals align with the goals that the United Way has set forth as what's most important. And beyond that, then we're going to review their proposals. They spend a great deal of time and energy detailing for the United Way exactly what they intend to do with those dollars and then how they expect those dollars to support the needs of the community. It is extremely important that the outcomes that the agencies come up with at the end of the day really meet the needs of the community. So the Community Investment Council gets involved very specifically. There's an actual liaison that goes one-on-one, visits the agency, understands how the agency works, and then later on in the process, the agency comes in and makes a presentation to the entire group.
This is not a short-term process. This is over several weeks or even several months?
It is. It's just about 6 months from the beginning of the year or sometimes the end of the previous year when we're all assigned our particular agencies. We make contact with those agencies. Sometimes we'll visit. We'll get their newsletters. We just want to get a full understanding of each agency and how it works so that, again, we can make sure we understand when it comes time to make that funding decision that we have clarity around exactly where those dollars will go and do those dollars support exactly what the United Way intends for them to.
And, Dennis and I touched on this, but there's no guarantee that an agency will get everything that they ask for or that they will be funded every year. They've got to justify their existence to get these dollars.
Exactly. And we are always amazed, at least I personally am always amazed at the amazing commitment of the individuals that work for people in our community. And we wish that there were dollars that could support all of the really important work that everyone does. But as you and all your listeners must know, that there are limitations to what we can do to provide. So we want to make sure that when an agency asks for dollars, that we understand what those dollars are. And then the funding decisions will depend on how much the community and the organizations in the community have been able to give.
And all of this is part of that weeding out and justification process for these particular dollars. Now, when an agency comes, Robin, and you look at them and say, you know what, this is duplication with something else, do y'all then make the decision, this year we're not going to fund you, but you may be able to come back next year?
Well, I'm not sure that we would expressly say to an agency, this year we're not going to fund you. What is more likely, we might ask them if they can partner with another agency. Is there some way that the two agencies or three agencies can leverage? That's one of the benefits of having something like the United Way that can connect a group of agencies to say, the three of you are doing things that are very, very similar. Can we leverage the dollars that we have available and ask you all to get together and to combine your efforts?
But there have been agencies who have lost their funding because they didn't exactly do what met the criteria for the United Way.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't have any personal experience with those agencies, but there certainly are, in addition to what the Community Investment Council does to make sure that things align, there also is a stringent financial review to make sure that an agency's overhead is not out of line, that they're not fully dependent on United Way dollars. So there are a variety of things that can be taken into consideration in the instance that an agency does lose their funding. But you're absolutely correct. It can happen.
A lot of the things, a majority of the things United Way does depends upon volunteers. So I have to ask you, Robin, How did you get involved with the Community Investment Council as a volunteer for the United Way? And this is something your heart just feels good about, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I come from a long line of givers in my personal family, and I'm fortunate to work for a company in Score Global Life that supports community investment of we individuals, and there's something very special about being able to look at the community and say the United Way feels very strongly about being good stewards for your dollars. I think it's wonderful that you're letting the community know how important it is, not only for the United Way to give, but for the community to respect the way that the money is handed out to the agencies, and that there is a stringent process that we go through to ensure that their dollars are handled with the utmost care.